Tutorial 1. Slow and unsteady, on Manipur and an elusive peace. Ethnic violence has abated, but peace continues to elude Manipur. It has been a little over 3 months since President's rule was declared in Manipur, after a disastrous spell when the state government, led by the Bharatiya Janata Party's N. Biren Singh, failed to de-escalate tensions in the ongoing ethnic conflict. By all accounts, there has been a significant reduction in gun violence and arson, which had flared up sporadically since the ethnic conflagration began in May 2023. Some of the weapons that were looted from police constabularies have been returned, and the militants do not seem to be roaming around with sophisticated weapons impudently as they did earlier. But that has not meant that peace has returned. The free movement of people and goods across highways and between the hills and the valley continues to be impeded. There have been no signs of any thaw in the hostility between the two communities that were at the center of the conflict, and this has meant that those displaced and who lost their homes in the valley and the hills are yet to return. That the peace has been fragile was seen in the way the Imphal Valley convulsed in protests following a recent incident during the run-up to the Shirui Lily Festival in Ukhrul district in late May. When a state transport bus with journalists drove close to Kuki-Zo inhabited areas, some security personnel placed stickers on the bus to hide the name of the state, an act that riled civil society groups in the valley. Ostensibly, this was done to allow for their safe passage through the Kuki-Zo areas, but it only antagonized groups in the valley who saw this as an act of kowtowing to demands for a separate administration, one of the key demands of the Kuki-Zo community representatives. Apparently, some of the latter's partisans had opposed transport services through their areas, but stepped back after a stern stance by the organizers of the festival. It is understandable that the union government has to walk a tightrope in Manipur, and that explains the relatively slow pace of a return to true normalcy. But the government must take strong steps in disarming insurgent and chauvinist groups who continue to hold sway in the valley and the hills. It should also send out a message that these sections will not represent the respective communities in the peace and political initiatives that are needed to resolve the conflict. The distrust of state institutions has led to ethnic partisans setting the discourse. In order to reverse this situation, a stronger commitment to implementing the rule of law while focusing on rehabilitating the victims of the conflict is the need of the hour. Meanwhile, there have been calls for the restoration of the state assembly, with some MLAs claiming majority support for a fresh iteration of an NDA government. This step should only be considered if there is some consensus on steps to be taken towards normalcy among the elected representatives of the respective communities and civil society actors. Absolutely! Let's now break down the Hindu Editorial 20 May 2025 in very simple English, with full background, heading meaning, easy explanation with emojis, and technical term explanations with examples. Heading meaning, slow and unsteady, on Manipur and an elusive peace. Slow and unsteady, things are not moving fast or smoothly in Manipur. Elusive peace, peace is hard to catch or achieve, even though violence has reduced. Theme, the article discusses how, despite less violence now, real peace has not come to Manipur. There are still deep tensions. People can't move freely, and displaced families haven't returned home. Background information. What's going on in Manipur? Manipur is a state in northeast India, bordered by Myanmar. Since May 2023, there has been ethnic violence between two main communities. Kuki-Zo, tribal communities living mostly in the hills. Meitei, the majority community living in the Imphal Valley. What triggered the violence? A demand for scheduled tribe ST status by the Meiteis created fear among Kukis that their land rights would be affected. This fear turned into violent clashes. Over 200 people were killed, and thousands were displaced. President's rule was imposed in February 2025, meaning the central government took direct control, removing the elected state government. Now let's start with a line-by-line explanation with emojis. Detailed editorial explanation with emojis. It has been a little over 3 months since President's rule was declared in Manipur. Shh. Shh. It's been around 3 months since the central government took over Manipur. Shh. Because the state government failed to control the violence. After a disastrous spell, when the state government, led by the Bharatiya Janata Party's N. Biren Singh, failed to de-escalate tensions. The earlier BJP-led state government couldn't reduce the tension between ethnic groups, which led to this central takeover. By all accounts, there has been a significant reduction in gun violence and arson. Violence like shootings and burning of property has reduced a lot, which had flared up sporadically since the ethnic conflagration began in May 2023. From May 23, the ethnic conflict kept bursting out randomly like small fires here and there. Technical term, conflagration, means a big, destructive fire or violent conflict. Example, the 2023 Manipur riots were a conflagration between ethnic groups. Some of the weapons that were looted from police constabularies have been returned. Some weapons that were stolen from police stations are now being returned, which is a small positive sign. Technical term, constabularies, means local police forces. Example, rioters attacked constabularies and looted weapons during the chaos. Militants do not seem to be roaming around with sophisticated weapons impudently as they did earlier. The militants are no longer openly carrying dangerous weapons, unlike before. But that has not meant that peace has returned. Just because violence is less doesn't mean everything is peaceful or normal. The free movement of people and goods continues to be impeded. People and vehicles still cannot move freely between the hills and the valley due to fear and blockades. Technical term, impeded, means blocked or slowed down. Example, heavy rain impeded the rescue operation. There have been no signs of any thaw in the hostility. The anger and hatred between the communities is still frozen. There's no sign of friendship returning. Technical term, thaw, in this context, means reduction in tension or coldness. Example, there is finally a thaw in India-China relations. Those displaced and who lost their homes are yet to return. People who were forced to flee still can't go back to their homes. That the peace has been fragile was seen in the way the Imphal Valley convulsed in protests. Even a small issue caused big protests in Imphal Valley, proving that the situation is still unstable. Technical term, fragile peace, means peace that can break anytime, like glass. During the run-up to the Shiri Lily Festival in Ukhrul district. This happened before the famous flower festival in Ukhrul, which celebrates the Shiri Lily. A state transport bus with journalists drove close to Kukizo, inhabited areas. A government bus carrying journalists went near Kukizo areas. Security personnel placed stickers on the bus to hide the name of the state. The police covered the bus's state name with stickers, maybe to avoid anger from Kukizo people, but it only antagonized groups in the valley. This action made valley-based groups angry, as they saw it as bowing down to Kukizo demands. Technical term antagonized means made someone angry or hostile. Example, his rude behavior antagonized the entire group. Demands for a separate administration? Kukizo groups want a different political system or state separate from the rest of Manipur. Apparently, some of the latter's partisans had opposed transport services. Some Kukizo supporters didn't want public transport to pass through their areas. Technical term, partisans, means strong supporters of a group or cause. Example, political partisans often defend their leaders blindly. Second paragraph. What should the government do now? It is understandable that the union government has to walk a tightrope in Manipur. The central government has to be very careful and balanced while handling this sensitive issue. Technical term, walk a tightrope, means to act carefully to avoid problems. Example, a teacher walks a tightrope between being friendly and being strict. Explains the relatively slow pace of a return to true normalcy. Life is not back to normal yet, and progress is very slow. Technical term, true normalcy, means life where everything works peacefully and regularly. The government must take strong steps in disarming insurgent and chauvinist groups. The government must take away weapons from violent groups who are spreading hatred. Technical terms, insurgent, a person or group that rebels against the government. Example, the army fought insurgents in the border region. Chauvinist, a person who strongly believes their group is superior and looks down on others. Example, a chauvinist might think only his language or religion is right. It should also send out a message that these sections will not represent. The government should clearly say that such violent groups cannot speak on behalf of communities. The distrust of state institutions has led to ethnic partisans setting the discourse. Shh. People have lost trust in government, and now ethnic group supporters are controlling the conversation. A stronger commitment to implementing the rule of law. The government must firmly follow laws and punish wrongdoers, no matter who they are. Technical term, rule of law, means everyone is equal under the law. Example, rule of law means even ministers can be punished if they break laws. While focusing on rehabilitating the victims of the conflict, the victims of violence should be helped rebuild their lives, homes, and confidence. Technical term, rehabilitating means helping someone return to normal life after a bad experience. Example, after a war, refugees are rehabilitated with housing and jobs. Calls for the restoration of the state assembly. Shh. Some politicians want the Manipur government to start again, remove president's rule. MLAs claiming majority support for a fresh iteration of an NDA government. Some elected members, MLAs, say they have enough support to form a new BJP-led government. Technical term, iteration, means a new version or repeat of something. Example, the new iteration of the phone has better features. This step should only be considered if there is some consensus. The editorial says, only restart the assembly if all groups agree on basic peace steps. Technical term, consensus, means general agreement. Example, the team reached a consensus to work extra hours to finish the project. Conclusion, despite reduced violence, Manipur is still not peaceful. People are scared. Communities are divided, and the government needs to act fast and fairly. Real peace will only come when people are disarmed, victims are helped back home, hate is reduced, and law is applied to everyone equally. If you want this type of explanation daily from the Hindu Editorial, just keep sharing the text, and I'll explain it like this every time. Here are 5 useful vocabulary words from the editorial that will help you improve your English comprehension for SBI PO IBPS PO exams. Each word includes a simple meaning, synonyms, antonyms, and a relatable example sentence for easy understanding. 1. Abate, meaning to become less strong or intense, to reduce in force or level. Synonyms, decrease, lessen, reduce. Antonyms, increase, intensify, escalate. Example sentence. The rain finally abated after hours of heavy downpour, and people came out with umbrellas. 2. Conflagration, meaning a large and destructive fire, used in this context to describe a big and violent conflict. Synonyms, blaze, inferno, war, figuratively. Antonyms, calm, peace, truce. Example sentence. The forest conflagration destroyed hundreds of trees and forced animals to flee. Note, this word is often used figuratively in news, like a conflagration between two communities, meaning a violent clash. 3. Impeded, meaning to block or slow down something to prevent smooth progress. Synonyms: block, hinder, obstruct. Antonyms: allow, facilitate, support. Example sentence: the fallen tree impeded the traffic for several hours until it was cleared. 4. Meaning: serious discussion or communication on a particular topic, often public or political. Synonyms: conversation, discussion, debate. Antonyms: silence, quiet, agreement in some contexts. Example sentence: there was a healthy discourse on social media about the importance of mental health. Nash 5. Rehabilitate. Meaning to help someone return to a normal life after injury, trouble, or disaster. Synonyms: restore, recover, reintegrate. Antonyms: harm, neglect, damage. Example sentence: after his surgery, the athlete went to a center to rehabilitate his leg. Note, in the editorial, this word is used for rehabilitating victims of violence, helping people return to normal life after trauma. Would you like more? Editorial 2. Danger in the Sea, on Kerala and the MSC Elsa 3 sinking. India's response to maritime disasters must be faster and better. On the afternoon of May 24th, MSC Elsa 3, carrying more than 640 containers, started tilting off the coast of Kochi, apparently due to an operational problem. The nearly 3-decade-old ship was said to be structurally safe. The crew abandoned the ship after unsuccessfully trying to right her. Now, Elsa 3 is lying at the bottom of the seabed, 50 meters below. As per the cargo manifest, officials say the ship had 13 containers with hazardous goods. 12 had calcium carbide, a reactive compound, and 1 had rubber solution. Some 50 containers, many empty, were floating and getting tossed around by monsoon weather. Officials say the rubber solution has reacted with the seawater and accounts for the plastic pellets being found on the Kerala coast. 5 containers with calcium carbide, another pollution hazard, are lying on the seabed and need to be safely disposed of before they cause damage. Some oil pollution has also been reported. There is as yet no clarity on how to safely dispose of the plastic pellets. Though containers have tremendously boosted world trade logistics, oversight and control of what each container that passes several hands, ships, and yards has is a global problem. Besides the 600-odd containers still lodged inside Elsa 3's cargo space, some 365 tons of heavy fuel oil and 60 tons of diesel lie inside the ship's tanks. That much of the oil has not seeped out yet is fortuitous, but there is every possibility of it happening if quick action is not taken. The Chennai coast was ravaged by 250 tons of heavy fuel oil from an oil tanker that collided with an LPG carrier in 2017. MSC Elsa 3 is a toxic dump that needs to be quickly disposed of. Salvors are being engaged, and they will follow international insurance protocols. The National Oil Spill Disaster Contingency Plan, NOSDCP, names the Coast Guard as the nodal agency for such responses. In Chennai, the response was delayed by several days, and there was much confusion and a lack of coordination between agencies. In Kerala, however, there has been enough time to rig up an effective response. With ambitious plans for economic growth that will inevitably lead to a surge in ship traffic, the government has also planned to draw more national and global transshipment traffic into India's waters. India is only set to see a great number and variety of ships of varying cargoes on its coast in future. The Kerala response will show how well prepared India is to handle a major maritime disaster. Let's now break down everything in a simple, clear, and beginner-friendly way, with emojis, examples, background, and technical term explanations, so you fully understand it for your SBI IBPS exam prep. Heading meaning: Danger in the Sea, on Kerala and the MSC Elsa 3 sinking. Simple meaning: there is a serious danger happening in the sea near Kerala, because a ship named MSC Elsa 3 has sunk. The editorial is about the problems caused by this incident and how India should improve its response to such disasters. Background explanation. Where did this happen? It happened in the Arabian Sea near Kochi, which is a city in Kerala, a southern state of India. What is MSC Elsa 3? It's a large cargo ship that was used to carry containers, metal boxes used for transporting goods. What happened to it? On May 24, 2025, the ship tipped over and sank in the sea near Kochi due to some technical operational problem. Why is this a problem? The ship was carrying hazardous, dangerous materials, including oil, rubber chemicals, and calcium carbide, which can pollute the ocean and harm marine life and humans. Past incident reference. In 2017, a similar disaster happened near Chennai, where oil spilled into the sea and damaged the environment badly. So now, there's fear that this could happen again near Kerala. Now let's explain the full editorial, line by line in very simple words. Full editorial explanation in simple English, emojis. Paragraph 1. On May 24, a cargo ship called MSC Elsa 3 started tilting, leaning to one side, near the Kochi coast in Kerala. This happened due to some technical, operational problem. Something went wrong with how the ship was functioning. The ship was about 30 years old, but it was said to be safe in structure. Its body wasn't broken. The crew, people working on the ship, tried to fix the problem, but couldn't succeed, so they left the ship. Now the ship is lying underwater, about 50 meters deep. The cargo manifest, official list of goods on the ship, said there were 13 containers with dangerous goods. The 12 of them had calcium carbide, a chemical that can react dangerously with water. One container had rubber solution, another chemical that can cause pollution. Around 50 containers floated to the sea surface and started moving randomly due to monsoon weather. The rubber solution reacted with seawater and caused plastic pellets, tiny plastic balls, to appear on Kerala beaches. 5 containers with calcium carbide are still underwater, and they must be removed safely before they pollute the sea. Some oil pollution has already been seen. Not too much yet, but it's a warning sign. But officials still don't know how to clean up the plastic pellets safely. Technical terms explained. Calcium carbide. A chemical that reacts with water to produce flammable gas called acetylene. Example, if water touches calcium carbide, it creates a gas that can catch fire. So, if it's underwater, it can be dangerous and explosive. Plastic pellets. Small round pieces of plastic used in manufacturing plastic items. They are harmful if they mix into seawater, as marine animals may eat them thinking it's food, which can kill them. Cargo manifest. A document that lists everything being carried on a ship. Example, if 600 boxes are on board, the manifest will say what's inside each box. Paragraph 2. Shipping containers have made world trade much easier. Goods are transported faster and cheaper. But there's a big global problem. We don't always know what is inside each container, because they go through many ports and hands before reaching the destination. Around 600 containers are still inside MSC Elsa 3C, stuck at the bottom of the sea. Also inside the ship are 365 tons of heavy fuel oil, 60 tons of diesel. Luckily, the oil hasn't leaked yet, but it could happen anytime if action is not taken fast. A similar disaster happened near Chennai in 2017, where 250 tons of oil leaked after a ship accident. The sea and beach got badly polluted. MSC Elsa 3 is now like a toxic dump, a place full of dangerous substances, and must be cleaned up quickly. Technical term explained. Toxic dump, a place where harmful or poisonous materials are found. Example, if a ship has dangerous chemicals or oil and it sinks, the area becomes a toxic dump, not safe for marine life or people. Paragraph 3. Salvers, special rescue teams for ships, have been hired to clean up and remove dangerous material. They will follow international insurance rules, which guide how ship disasters are handled legally and financially. India has a plan for oil spills called National Oil Spill Disaster Contingency Plan, NOSDCP. The Indian Coast Guard is the main agency, called nodal agency, responsible for such sea disasters. In 2017, Chennai accident, the response was slow and confusing. Agencies didn't work together well. But in Kerala, the weather gave some extra time, so there's a better chance for a quick response now. India is planning big economic growth, which will increase ship traffic. More ships, more goods, more risks. The government also wants more international shipping traffic to come to Indian ports. So, this Kerala incident will show how ready India is to handle serious sea disasters in the future. Technical terms: salvers. People or companies that help recover sunken ships or cargo. Example: if a ship sinks with oil, salvers are called to pull it out and stop pollution. Nodal agency: the main lead agency responsible for a task. Example: in oil spill disasters, the Indian Coast Guard is the nodal agency. It takes the lead and coordinates the response. Final summary in simple words: a big cargo ship sank off Kerala's coast with many dangerous chemicals and oil inside. These can cause pollution and danger to people, marine life, and the environment if not cleaned up quickly. India must act fast and strongly. Past mistakes, like in Chennai, should not be repeated. Kerala has some extra time to fix the problem, and this is a test of India's readiness to handle maritime disasters. Since India wants to increase shipping traffic, being prepared for such emergencies is very important for safety and environment. If you'd like me to now create vocabulary, here are 5 important vocabulary words from the editorial. Danger in the sea, on Kerala and the MSC Elsa 3 sinking, explained in a very simple, beginner-friendly way, perfect for SBIPO, IBPSPO exam preparation. Hazardous, meaning something that is dangerous or could cause harm. Synonyms: risky, unsafe, harmful. Antonyms: safe, harmless, secure. Example sentence: mixing bleach with other cleaning liquids is hazardous and can produce toxic gases. Abandoned, meaning left behind or given up completely. Synonyms: deserted, left, discarded. Kept, maintained, protected. Example sentence: they abandoned the old building because it was no longer safe to live in. 3. Fortuitous, meaning happening by luck or chance. See, especially in a good way. Synonyms: lucky, accidental, unexpected. Antonyms: planned, unlucky, intentional. Example sentence: it was fortuitous that she found her lost wallet just before leaving for the airport. 4. Toxic, meaning poisonous or very harmful, especially to health or the environment. Synonyms: poisonous, harmful, dangerous. Antonyms: safe, non-toxic, healthy. Don't touch that chemical. It's toxic and can burn your skin. 5. Contingency, meaning a backup plan or a possible future event that must be prepared for. Synonyms: emergency plan, backup. Alternate antonyms: certainty, guarantee, fixed outcome. Example sentence: the company created a contingency plan in case of a power outage during the event.